Welcome to another marvelous episode of CFB Morning, hosted by me, Lever KT, aka the Governor of College Football. And before we get into today's topic, which is Maryland spring game recap, I want to shout out a few people at Maryland. Shout out to the communications department, the football communications department. Specifically, shout out Dustin, shout out Ben. We would not have been able to go to this game if it wasn't for them. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Also, I gotta shout out my guys. I really shout out my guys, but shout out to the team, CFB Nation, man. Make sure y'all tuned in on Twitter at the CFB Nation. Same thing on YouTube at the CFB Nation. Same thing on TikTok at the CFB Nation. Make sure y'all check all that out. Also, this content is provided by the good folks over at T2T. That's Toilet to Titles. Make sure you search them. It's Toilet to Titles on Twitter, Toilet to Title on YouTube. Make sure you check them guys out. CFB Nation is Toilet to Titles, and Toilet to Titles is CFB Nation. Never forget that. So let's get into today's episode. I'm excited about this. For those of you all know, we've traveled a little bit here, there, and everywhere during this spring game season. We've been to Boston College. We've been to Army. We've been to Champaign, Illinois, to see Illinois. We've been to Syracuse. I don't know if I mentioned that. We've been to Raleigh, North Carolina, to see NC State. We've been to Clemson, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. We've been to all these fantastic places, and shout out to all of those schools respectively. But I am a Marylander, and it was kind of really cool to go back home and do this thing at home. So let's get into this spring game. Coming into the spring game, I had a couple of expectations. My first expectation was, who is going to step up at wide receiver? They're losing Rocket Jarrett. They're also losing Dante Demas. So you're losing a lot of production. We talking about years worth of production in the last couple of years. And also on the back end, they lost Deonte Banks. Shout out to him. He got drafted first round 24th pick by the New York Football Giants. Also had the pleasure of interviewing him. That will not be in today's show. I will release that as something else, probably as a short, if not anything else. Also, Jacorian Bennett. Jacorian Bennett was a guy we got to see down at the Reese Senior Bowl. Coach and I sitting next to him, and we were just looking at him, and we was like, Jacorian Bennett got a lot of talent. He's a glue guy. He's one of those guys who will sacrifice his body for the betterment of the team. And just seeing him doing the gunner drills, you just know he one of the ones, and you know he had fantastic speed. And I'm so happy for him. And I think he may be one of them guys that when you look back at all of this and you see that, there's a player we probably could have drafted early that we didn't draft it early. I think Jacorian Bennett will be that guy. So that's what I wanted to see coming in. So first thing first, let's start at the quarterback position. Talia Tugavaloa, dude, he has the utmost respect with his teammates. You can tell that his teammates were very appreciative that he didn't decide to go to the next level or didn't decide to transfer. Even I don't think transferring was an option, but you could just see the respect that he commands. I was trying to get an interview with him, but so was everybody else trying to get an interview with him. He sat down and talked to the Big Ten Network a multitude of times. The guys respect him, and he's able to hold his guys accountable and joke around with them, which is a very hard balance. Trust, as a leader, it's a fine line between being able to hold people accountable but still having that human element. Shout out to him. His backup, Billy Edwards Jr., real deal. You look at, what Talia has done in his career at Maryland. He's pretty much the statistical leader in every major passing category for the University of Maryland. I mean, last season he had 3,008 yards. He had 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, something around 67% completion percentage. And Billy Edwards had to fill in for him a couple of times, and Billy Edwards played phenomenal in filling in for him. High efficiency rating. Also had, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, got a key win versus Northwestern last year. So when you look at that, you look at this quarterback room, you look at Billy Edwards, and I feel like I've said this before, but he could be starting elsewhere. He has that type of arm talent. He has that, you see Dawson Knox and Josh Allen, when Josh Allen throws a dot, let me put it on camera. They do this, that's their little thing. He's one of them guys. We seen the accuracy on the touchdown throw to Robert Smith. We also seen the accuracy on the touchdown throw to Leon Halton in the spring game yesterday. The kid, Billy Edwards Jr., has a lot of talent and trust. After Leah leaves next season and go to the draft, and I believe he'll get drafted, Maryland is in great hands. I can tell you that right now. He's another guy. The locker room loves him. You could just see it during award ceremony. Now, let's go to their running back room. I believe their running back room is fantastic. You look at the leader, Roman Hemby. Great running back. Nino said he thinks he's a top 15 back in the nation. The guy has it all. You know, he got freshman All-American honors last season. Just finished 11 yards shy of the 1K mark. 5.3 yards a carry. Had 10 touchdowns last season. And that breakout game versus Northwestern, a game that Leah did not play in, was like that game last year. He had over 179 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, broke for a 75-yard run, and they only won the game, I believe it's like 31-24, something like that. Don't quote me on that. But his play in that game was pivotal, and he said it in an interview with me yesterday, like, yo, I feel like I had to step up in the absence of Leah. So it was kind of dope to see that. So coming into the camp, like I said, my major concerns was just the production that they lost at wide receiver with Rocket Jarrett, Dante James Jr., and then on the back end at corners, you know, Deontay Banks, first round pick, 24th pick in the NFL draft by the New York Football Giants, and of course Ja'Cory and Bennett mentioned both of those things earlier. How can they replace that production? And I have a name for you at wide receiver, and I think everybody need to write this down. Caden Prather is one to watch. West Virginia transferred. West Virginia just had a weird up and down season last year. JT Daniels at quarterback. They had like this weird 7 wide receiver rotation. Prather wanted to go somewhere where he'll kind of be the star on the offense. And I'm telling you now, his production this year, he's one to watch. I've never been a fantasy football guy. I play it to play it. You know, people always ask me to get into the leagues. Never been a CFF guy. I will play in a CFF league this year. If you have the opportunity to get Prather, get him, because I believe he's going to get a lot of touches this year, and I believe he'll see 65-plus receptions this season. He's that type of dude. He actually scored a touchdown yesterday, but they had some real weird spring rules. I don't know what happened on it. He caught the ball, made somebody miss. Next thing you know, he scored a touchdown over it. I think if it's a one to watch in that wide receiver core, I believe it's him. And also Ja'Shawn Jones, who's been there for a while. I think he'll also be effective in a return game as well. Looking at that tight end position, of course, they got Corey Dyches. Corey Dyches is from my hometown, Oxon Hill, Maryland. Went to Potomac High School, same high school that Tavon Young and Ron Darby went to. He's good. Me and Michael was watching him run the routes yesterday. I believe I included that clip in here. I might not have included the clip in there. But watching him run his routes and how good he was running his routes, only knock on him I would have. I think he has the ability to gain 7 to 12 pounds. Like, that will make a huge difference, but I feel like it would just help him out. And I believe he can play at the next level. So, love the quarterback room. Running back room is phenomenal. I like the wideouts. I think Caden Prather will surely be the alpha. And then the production that you got from Corey Dyches last year, I think he had like 39 receptions. I think that number can only go up. Now, the offensive line is probably my biggest question coming out of the spring game. What we heard all in camp is that, you know, the defense definitely was outplaying the offense. And the offense showed some flashes yesterday. More so the white team than the red team. The red team, if they were flashes, it was the running game. But the offensive line, I'm worried, can they protect Leah? Like, that's my question. You know, is it Maryland defense is that good, or the offensive line really needs some help? I don't want to say that bad, but do they really need some help? Because you look at it, there was a couple plays yesterday, and I'm going to get into Coach Loxley later. The guy's phenomenal. Oh, by the way, where Talia got hit like back-to-back times, and he did not want Billy Edwards or Leah getting touched, period. You know, you two-hand touch him, don't hit him. They got hit back-to-back plays. Mind you, Coach Loxley is kind of, you know, he's with the Big Ten Network. I don't know if you guys notice, a lot of times for spring game, the head coach won't coach. He'll allow his assistants, his top assistants, to do their thing on each sideline. And he instantly went into coach mode. Leah got hit back-to-back times. He's like, yo, I believe he's talking to Kevin Sumlin. I'm not sure who he's talking to. I believe it's Kevin Sumlin. Shout out to Kevin Sumlin. I didn't even know he was there. One of the great college football minds is in Maryland. So that will help him. I believe it's his first year. He's like, yo, if they're not going to follow the rules, get them off my field. The respect, the command that Coach Loxley have, I believe in this guy. Like, if I was playing for him, he's a guy I run through the wall through. And let me make a couple of examples. Yesterday, they were doing the annual award ceremony, something that Maryland has done for years. They'll shout out their, old players, and they'll have awards named after their older players. And if they come and took a picture and they wasn't correct, Coach Loxley, he'll grab that towel, get that towel off your head. Oh, look, that trophy you got turned the wrong way. Turn that trophy around. Like, it's like almost like, like how when you were younger you did stuff you weren't supposed to. You probably had a house party when your parents went out of town, something like that. If your parents stressed you, yeah, you have a house party, then boom, your parents come back and tell you trying to get everything fixed up, how they want the house to be all clean. Your parents already know because you don't even clean like that, but you gonna clean up all special because you don't want them to know you had a house party. That's how I feel like when players around, they'll be joking, laughing around, they get in front of this man, they don't play. They don't play at all. And not saying that they can't joke around with him. Yeah, they can joke around with him. But when it's time for business, Coach Loxley don't play. And I think he's going to have a lot of success there. Looking at the defense, if there's one player on defense who truly stood out to me, that was linebacker Jay-Sean Barham. He's a sophomore. This guy looks NFL ready already. He acts like a linebacker. He don't say too much unless he's on that field. When he walked out, you just knew, okay, yeah, he's him. He's the middle linebacker. And a couple times on defense, he was calling out the plays, and he knew what was coming. Yeah, it could probably be his own team, but I think this guy truly do study. I think he's in the film room. And he called out, he's like, hey, watch the draw or the screen. Lo and behold, it was a draw. The next time he called it was a screen. He just knew his situational football. He knew what was coming up, made a couple of big hits. And I'm telling you now, this is a guy to watch. He got some honorable mention honors last year. But I'm telling you, this year I believe he could make some plays for this defense. So let's move along and kind of talk about my projection for Maryland this upcoming season. They got 8 wins last season. You look at that. That's something I don't believe that they done in the Big Ten. Very successful year for them. I think if there's any year that the Big Ten is wide open, I don't really think you could say that, but if you look at the last 5 years versus now, this is probably the one year you could say it's wide open. Yes, Ohio State has a lot of talent, but can they put it together? Michigan has a plethora of talent. Can they put it together? My belief in Luke Fickell and what he's going to do up in Wisconsin, like, I believe they'll be able to put it together as well. But can Maryland get back to 8 wins? I'm not going to get my projections down because, we're doing shorts. We're going to do all P5 teams, a plethora of G5 teams. And we're also going to get into some independents as well. So I'll give you my projection there. But I think this team can win a lot of ball games. My major concern is this offensive line. If they can find a way to piece this together, maybe see if they can get somebody in the transfer portal to kind of help out. Like I said, it was just a spring game. How much information does the spring game truly give you? But that is my major area of concern. Like I said in the opening, I just want to shout out my guys. Shout out to Nino. Shout out to Coach. Shout out to Moon. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to D-Now, shout out to my guy Boomer. Just shout out to everybody. We moving. CFB Nation got now. CFB Nation got next. And told us the title is CFB Nation. CFB Nation is told us the titles. Like I always like to say, do something nice that somebody normally wouldn't do. Always pay it forward. Peace and love. Peace and blessings. And until next time, y'all know what it is. 1.
Shout out to CFB Nation.